Welcome back. You're watching Global Lens on News9 Live with me, Neha Khanna. Let's now turn our attention to Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe's office has said the president plans to press ahead with his quest for the full implementation of the 13th Amendment as part of his reconciliation efforts with the country's minority Tamil community. The minority Tamil community in Sri Lanka has been demanding the implementation of the 13th Amendment that provides for devolution of power to it. The 13th Amendment was brought in after the India-Sri Lanka Agreement of 1987. It created 9 provinces as devolved agreement of 1987. It created 9 provinces as devolved units with the temporary merger of the northern and eastern provinces. Now, according to presidential officials, Wickremesinghe will deliver a speech in Parliament next week. When it is reconvened, the president will outline his plan to implement the amendment with all powers that could be granted to provincial councils. During an all-party meeting last month, Wickremesinghe had said that all powers except police powers could be granted to the councils. He will submit in Parliament all proposals received from different political parties on the full implementation of 13A. Significantly, the Sri Lankan president convened the all-party meeting immediately after his recent 2-day visit to India, during which this amendment figured prominently in his wide-ranging talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Mr. Modi had reiterated India's wish to see the full implementation of the 13th Amendment. However, the main Tamil party, the Tamil National Alliance or TNA, is adamant about holding the stalled provincial council elections. The alliance cited previous Sri Lankan government statements which said full powers would be granted. The elections for the 9 provinces have been on hold since 2018 following a move to introduce electoral reforms. It now needs a parliamentary amendment to enable the elections to be held under the existing proportional representation system. The Sinhala majority parties have urged Wickremesinghe to hold the stalled council elections. Some Sinhala parties have reiterated their fears that full powers to councils would pave the way for the separation of the north and the east from the island nation. Wickremesinghe has come under fire from the majority Sinhala community parties for bringing forward the issue of devolution at a time when the country is grappling with its worst ever economic crisis. They say the president's action is a political stunt to woo the Tamils ahead of the next presidential election due in 2024. Sri Lanka has had a long history of failed negotiations to end the Tamil claim of discrimination by allowing some form of political autonomy. The Tamils put forward their demand for autonomy after gaining independence from Britain in 1948, which from the mid-70s turned into a bloody armed conflict. The Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam ran a military campaign for a separate Tamil homeland in the northern and eastern provinces of the island nation for nearly 30 years before its collapse in 2009 after the Sri Lankan army killed its supreme leader V. Prabhakaran. According to Sri Lankan government figures, over 20,000 people are missing due to various conflicts, including the 3-decade-long brutal war with Lankan Tamils, which claimed at least 100,000 lives. Now, the 13th Amendment is an outcome of the Indo-Lanka Accord of July 1987, signed by the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi and President J.R. Jayawardene, in an attempt to resolve Sri Lanka's ethnic conflict that had aggravated into a full-fledged civil war between the armed forces and the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam or LTTE, which led the struggle for Tamils' self-determination and sought a separate state. The 13th Amendment, which led to the creation of provincial councils, assured a power-sharing arrangement to enable all 9 provinces in the country, including Sinhala majority areas, to self-govern. Subjects such as education, health, agriculture, housing, land and police are devolved to the provincial administrations, but because of restrictions on financial powers and overriding powers given to the president, the provincial administrations have not made much headway. In particular, the provisions relating to police and land have never been implemented. Now, initially, the north and eastern provinces were merged and had a northeastern provincial council, but the two were demerged in 2007 following a Supreme Court verdict. The 13th Amendment carries considerable baggage from the country's Civil War years. It was opposed vociferously by both Sinhala nationalist parties and the LTTE. The former thought it was too much power to share, while the Tigers deemed it too little. A large section of the Sinhala polity, including the leftist nationalist JVP, which led an armed insurrection opposing it, saw the accord and the consequent legislation as an imprint of Indian intervention. Though signed by the powerful President Jayawardene, it was widely perceived as an imposition by a neighbour wielding hegemonic influence. The Tamil polity, especially its dominant nationalist strain, does not find the 13th Amendment sufficient in its ambit of substance. However, some, including the Tamil National Alliance, which chiefly represented the Tamils of the North and the East in Parliament in the post-war era until its setback in the recent polls, sees it as an important starting point. Till date, the 13th Amendment represents the only constitutional provision on the settlement of the long-pending Tamil question. In addition to assuring a measure of devolution, it is considered to be a part of the few significant gains since the 1980s in the face of growing Sinhala Buddhist majoritarianism from the time Sri Lanka became independent in 1948. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has referenced the 13th Amendment more than once, especially during high-level bilateral visits. But observers in Sri Lanka wonder if there could be limitations on how far India can go on the Tamil question amid growing geopolitical insecurities. As we said, the Sri Lankan president plans to take this issue up when the parliament convenes next month. We will track the story. For now, let's take a quick break here on Global Lens. There's more coming up on the other side.
मैं इमरान अहमद खान नियाजी सबके दिल से हल्फ उठाता हूँ.
When Imran Khan came initially into politics, he thought his personal popularity would be sufficient for him. It didn't happen.